Meg and Morgs. After spending 9 months backpacking our way across Southeast Asia, we decided we were ready for a new challenge. After arriving in Australia, we bought a converted four-wheel drive, and so far we've driven the East Coast and spent one incredible month in Tasmania. Our adventure now takes us west along the south coast, as over the next few months we take on the huge 4,000-kilometre drive between Melbourne and Perth. Join us today as the adventure continues. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We're Meg and Morgs, and in today's video we are exploring Perth. So we finally made it to the west coast. We're probably doing the most iconic thing you can do in Perth today, and we're going to Rottnest Island to go and see the quokkas, hopefully.
As soon as we stepped off the ferry, we were greeted with white sand beaches and beautiful blue skies, and we knew we were going to have a great day. Megan had seen on Instagram that there was a few spots that we could see the quokkas out in the wild. We put in the spot on Google Maps and started walking out towards the golf course and some lakes.
We have just spotted our first quokka. So I did a bit of research online, and it said Garden Lake and like the shrubs around is quite a good area to come. So we walked here, it took about 5 minutes, and then we just sort of been walking around the lake, and we just spotted one in the trees in the shade, because obviously it is quite warm today. But yeah, they're so cute, and also they're tiny, like smaller than the paddy melons on Tasmania.
After walking up to the viewpoint for a view over the lakes, we then returned to the town where you get the ferry from, and we actually saw a lot more quokkas than what we thought just in the town area. I'll be completely honest, I didn't think that the environment was necessarily the best for the quokkas. There was lots of people taking close-up videos and pictures and kind of hassling them. We tried our best to be respectful and take videos and pictures from a long distance. We then continued our walk on to explore some more of the beaches on the northeast side of the island and find a nice place for some lunch with some views over the ocean. We've been lucky enough to see quite a number of quokkas now, just walking around.
We thought we would.
Yeah, when you just sort of like walking around, if you just keep an eye out, they'll be either like sleeping because it's the middle of the day, or just doing their own thing, eating. But it's beautiful.
They're so cute.
Yeah, we went to Pinky's Beach, I think it's called, and then had some lunch, and it was a nice sort of little vibe there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had some nice fish and chips. We're now at a lookout over the beautiful, I think, Longchamp Bay. But this sort of coastline, it's all like a limestoney sort of, kind of a bit like when we were at that place looking for the stingrays, Hamlin Bay. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that. Yeah, it's just so beautiful, like all the.
I was saying, like, it reminds me of when we were in Greece.
Yeah. Like
stunning crystal clear water, obviously beautiful beaches, but then we've got quokkas, so. Yeah,
and also there are what seem to be some quite good options for staying on the island if that was sort of something that you wanted to do. We've seen sort of, I presume the most affordable options would be like those glamping tent type things if you wanted to, and then obviously
there's like chalets as well.
And there's a couple of campsites as well that we've walked past. So I guess there is sort of things to suit everyone's budget. Personally, I think it's probably good enough for like a day. Yeah. Maybe like a one night sort of trip if that's what you sort of had planned.
Yeah, the ferry tickets, I believe, so I booked them through Book Me and we got 20% off. Yeah. So we paid like $60 return from Fremantle, but it's cheaper to get the boat from there than it is to the actual city centre in Perth. But yeah, it only took like half an hour.
Yeah, it was fine, just like your average sort of ferry.
And it's a Saturday and it's like not too busy.
Yeah, the ferry wasn't like packed or anything either. After getting a couple of ice creams and seeing some more quokkas, we had another beautiful walk along the seafront before it was time for us to get our return ferry back. We definitely recommend a day out at Rottnest Island if you're in Perth. Good morning. So the last time we spoke to you was when we were on Rottnest Island, and we had a lovely day. The weather's kind of changed a little bit for us. It's not been so nice sort of the past few days, but we've been getting a few things done, including getting my hair cut, which always feels like a massive improvement when we've sort of been on the road for a long time and let it grow out. And yeah, so it's nice to have that done. Today we're going to head into the city. So we're in Fremantle, or like the North Coogee area, for our pet sit. And yeah, unfortunately the public transport compared to sort of like Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, Brisbane, isn't really that good here. Like the drive is about half an hour from where we are into the city, but like if we wanted to get public transport, it would involve us getting like one of those like Mikey cars like what we had to in Melbourne, but also getting like 2 or 3 different modes of transport, which would have like doubled the time it takes to like get into the city. There's not really like a good option basically to get from sort of these regions into the city centre. So the plan is we're just going to drive and park. It might sort of end up being expensive in the sense that we have to obviously pay for like city parking or whatever, but we're kind of only planning on really spending one day or like today exploring the city centre, because you know, like we don't love the cities. We kind of come to places sort of to see like the nature and the countryside and
and we like to use this time to like rest and recharge.
And there's lots of and there's lots of things that we have to prepare for this next leg of the journey, with it being our last, and then obviously selling the car and then us moving on to our next country. It kind of, you know, there's lots of sort of like loose ends to tie up, as well as booking some tours and things. But we'll talk to you all about our other plans and what we have to do a little bit later in the video, and maybe we'll do like a day in the life of the pet sit that we're doing at the moment, take you on our dog walks and stuff in the morning. But yeah, for now we're heading into the city and we'll show you what the CBD of Perth looks like. So we've had a couple of hours walking around the city. It's generally quite nice, but there's nothing sort of special about it until you come down to the waterfront. Then the waterfront area is really nice. There's a couple of nice like bars and restaurants, and just we like spent a while just sat down there while we had a drink and things.
I think generally speaking, like one of the most popular places in Perth to go is Rottnest Island, which obviously we had a great day at. So highly recommend you book your tickets in advance so you can definitely go.
I think as well, like we always compare the cities to say like Sydney, where we had a really nice time and holds like a special place in our hearts, I would say. Like we always would say
like
comments like
judging.
like, oh well, it's not quite like Sydney. But to be fair, the beaches here, like the beaches sort of like around the area, are definitely comparable. It's just like the city centre and like the skyline, and I guess like just like the general things to do aren't really comparable. Like it's not as good as Sydney or probably Melbourne as well, but you know, they're bigger cities on the other side of the country. Kind of like, you know, if it was in Europe it would be like 4 countries away. So but we've had a nice time walking around, and I think it's just for us, like in cities, like the stuff to do is always expensive, whereas like in the countryside or national parks, it's like free activities like hiking, going to viewpoints, going for a swim, those sorts of things. We're also planning on not sort of having too much time out, just because Finn, the dog that we're looking after, he shouldn't be left for sort of more than 4 hours, just with like new pet sitters. That's what the remit was, basically the instructions for us, left by his owners. So you know, it's nice obviously to have the pet sit, but you also kind of obviously need to make sure that you're looking after the dog in the best way.
And also, if you think like you want to do pet sitting but you don't want to be constrained, then maybe look at cats. You've looked after cats in the past and you've got so much more freedom and things like that, so you can still do it. Yeah,
exactly, and it's up to you what you apply for at the end of the day. Like Megan said, the cats are super easy to look after, just because they only really want food from humans, really. Whereas dogs obviously like the company, especially Finn. He's such like a gentle giant, bless him. He loves like attention, and then he'll sort of going off and sort of have a little sleep and gets really excited when we see him. Maybe we'll see if we can take a little video when we get back to show you what he's like, because he's so lovely.
For me. Hi. Hello. Hello. Hi. Hello. Hi. One evening we headed into the city to watch the local side West Coast Fever play in some of the best netball in the world. As it was a home game, the atmosphere was great, and I highly recommend visiting either the netball or some Aussie rules if you are visiting Australia.
Good morning. This is going to be a bit of like a day in the life while we're pet sitting, but it's a bit of a cloudy day today, at the moment anyway. I think the weather should pick up later. Finn and I are just out on our morning walk. If you've watched our channel for a while, you'll know that Megan isn't much of a morning person, so I made her a cup of tea when we woke up, and yeah, I've brought Finn out for his walk. He sort of has a bit of a longer walk, like 30-40 minutes first thing in the morning. Tried to take him out like early, just so that, because he's probably been, you know, obviously he's been asleep all night, so needs a wee and stuff. But yeah, we're out not too early, like not as early as the dogs in Tasmania were waking me up at like 5:30, 6 o'clock, and it's about 7 now, so. Now we're going to head out, because it's a Saturday. The Fremantle markets are open. I think they're open on the Sunday as well.
I think Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay, there you go. But yeah, so we didn't visit the last weekend, so we're going to come this weekend. I think there'll be some nice places to have some lunch. Yeah. And just generally, I think it's sort of like one of the more popular or famous things about Fremantle and things to do. So yeah, we're going to spend a couple of hours there. Like we said before, we can't really leave Finn for more than like 4 hours. Yeah. So yeah, like it's a good activity that we could spend a couple of hours doing, and then, you know, we won't be sort of away for too long.
After parking the car, we spent a few hours exploring the local Fremantle market. There's such a variety of things on offer, and it's a great way to spend some time if you are in the area. We were planning on getting some lunch, but unfortunately the options available were quite expensive for what they are. Especially after travelling through Asia, we can't justify spending £9 on a banh mi, no matter how good they are.
We are out on our afternoon walk. So Finn usually has like a 40-minute walk first thing in the morning, and then he has sort of 2 20-minute walks, one at like around 4 p.m. and then one at 8 p.m. Greyhounds are kind of a bit different to other dogs. They have a bit more like a specific needs with their eating window. So they can't really be walked. They can't really eat sort of an hour before or after. Yeah, because they can get this thing called like a twisted stomach, I think, which was interesting. So we've had to sort of like plan our days and stuff around when we can feed him. But he's having a nice time on his walk. Say hello, Finn. Not sure how well you can see us in the dark, but it's at 8 o'clock now, and we're out on our final walk of the day with Finn. We usually try and take him on like 3 different walks, like to different areas for the 3 walks in the day, just so we can sort of like have a smell and stuff of some different areas. But yeah, this is like a 20-minute one that we're just taking him like around the park near where they live, and like the grassy area and stuff like that. But he seems to enjoy himself each time, which is nice.
And tomorrow's our last full day here, so we've gotten a little bit attached, so we're going to have to say goodbye soon.
Yeah,
which is always
a
tough. But yeah, pet sitting's such a good way to sort of like save money if you are travelling around more expensive countries.
We woke up on our final morning at the pet sit to a beautiful sunrise before going out to get some shopping for the next leg of our journey. We went back home and had some cuddles with Finn. Pet sitting is such an amazing way to travel around Australia, but unfortunately saying goodbye to the animals is always tough for us.
Do you want me to get the door?
So it's our final walk with Finn this morning. It's always sad to leave them. Yeah, especially because like you can't tell them like, you know,
yeah,
we're not abandoning you or whatever. It's just his parents came back. His owners? His owners came back yesterday evening quite late, so we stayed the extra night so that we could sort of like walk him again, because, you know, he can't be left for too long, and
it
with his
out
feeding
well
and stuff.
Really, because you don't want to leave too late.
No, exactly. We wouldn't have wanted to leave at 6 o'clock just with our our sort of rules about driving in the dark in Australia. We kind of don't want to be doing that. But yeah, it's always like bittersweet leaving, because you know that you've got a really amazing adventure ahead of you, but then obviously you're sad because your brain tells you, oh, you know, you're in a lovely nice place now, and you kind of like don't leave sort of thing, and you know, obviously you're gonna miss the animals as well, but it's how it goes, and the journey's got to go on. So we thought now would be a good time to tell you all of our updates with the car, just because with this sort of being the final leg that we'll be going into, you know, we'll be looking to sell the car, and because we bought the car in Queensland, and we're not planning on driving back to Queensland, we need to sort of work out a good way of selling the car without basically returning to Queensland. So we probably mentioned it in the previous video or previous clips that we spoke to you, but we wanted to re-register the car in Western Australia, just because there is a process that you can do which basically allows you to sell the car like all officially and hand it over to someone, but doing it online. And I think you can also do it via post, but yeah, and that's the only state in which that you can do that. So we had to go through basically a variety of different processes in order to re-register the car in Western Australia. Unfortunately, we've been sort of noticing that the car was maybe struggling to start a bit in the mornings, and we kind of figured that the battery was probably, you know, not doing its best, or maybe there'd been an issue with like the alternator charging it or something along those lines. So we were a bit worried about the car for its inspection, and then the morning of the inspection, which you need to get basically like a roadworthy certificate, that sort of thing, it's an inspection to say that the car is sort of like in good enough condition to be registered in Western Australia.
Yeah, it's like an Australian MOT basically.
Exactly, but on that morning basically the car wouldn't start, and yeah, we had to call out the RAC, which are like the AA basically, or whoever, they can come and rescue you if you broke down. Thankfully we were at the house, but yeah, so they came out. The guy was like, oh, don't worry, it's a quick fix, you just basically, your battery's 3 years out of date, and yeah, it should have been changed 3 years ago, but so that's fine. We changed the battery.
It wasn't too expensive either, which is lucky.
No, and then it was all fixed from there. There was no sort of like damage from having the bad battery or anything like that. He said the alternator was all good, and we had looked. So that was very fortunate, because by the time he had finished fixing what was wrong with the car, we had about half an hour, 45 minutes to take it for its like inspection, which we were surprised to hear that it passed first time, like no sort of like fixes or anything needed,
which is good, because it just means we're like more confident in the car when we're going into potentially like the most remote leg of the journey. But
we are very fortunate that Megan's family suggested to us when we were in Adelaide to get like the RAC or the RAA covered. It's like covers you all the way across Australia basically. I think we're paying like $20 a month or something like that, and that basically covers you for like 500 kilometers of towing, like 3 days of, or like 5 days of accommodation if you're stuck in the middle of nowhere and your car's getting repaired, like a variety of different things, and obviously it included like the call out to help us get back on the road on that morning. So all in all, you know, we'd really recommend that to you, because it's helped us obviously in this situation, and thankfully the car didn't start when we'd reached Perth, because imagine like if it was in the middle of the Nullarbor or something like that, it's not worth thinking about how long you might get stuck there or whatever. But yeah, so we were incredibly fortunate, and we're very happy that the car is, other than that old dodgy battery, is like in perfect working condition, which is ideal, and like Megan said, like gives us a full load of confidence for this next leg of the journey. So after getting our full bill of health, if you like, a clean bill of health for the car, we then had to take some paperwork over to the Department of Transport. We had to fill out some extra papers just because we're not a citizen.
You needed like proof of address. So what we did is Morgan changed the address on his Telstra account, and then we took like a printed off receipt with the address on.
Yeah, for like a mobile phone contract. And they were happy with that, so we registered it to the address of our pet sit, which they were very nice enough to let us do. And but you can do that if you're just arriving in Australia and
do it to like a hostel. Or
do it to a hostel, as long as you've got like an invoice with the address on. That's absolutely fine. It's basically just needs an official document with your name and an address on. So like you could get your phone contract to that hostel or whatever.
We had to hand in our old number plates as well.
Yeah, so we were very sad to do so, and we asked the man. The man was very nice.
Yeah, he was.
But he said that you can't keep them just because people would use it as like take the plates off like a stolen car and use a fake plate or something. Like they can't obviously trust people. But we got our new Western Australia plates.
Yeah.
And yeah, we just had to pay some obviously just like the normal fees. We had to pay like a a modification certificate fee for the fact that it's got no back seats, and we had to pay for
we had that for the Queensland state,
but it doesn't
to get him transferred over. He said it would take like 5 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Whereas if you just apply for a new permit in Western Australia, you got it on the same day.
So it was like $70 and no stress. And because of all the moving parts that we had for this, like there was so much to do and to get finished off, then we just sort of wanted it done.
Yeah.
So then the final step was to send the receipt that we've handed in the old plates and fill out a form, and we sent all that off to the Queensland government. So
hopefully we get some money back from the Queensland registration.
That's the one,
which we aren't using, basically.
Yeah, but now we've left Perth. We'll need to put an advert out for selling the car, which will happen in the next. This leg of the journey is probably going to take, I don't know, maybe
like 6 weeks.
6 weeks, yeah, probably. So
the thing is, it's something that we are like a little bit unsure about. I think purely because it's out of our control. But again, like we'll do everything that we can to sell it, and hopefully it'll be perfect for like some backpackers who want to travel.
Yeah, because the thing is, it's got literally everything, and it's in obviously perfect condition, as we've just got all the clean bill of health from the from the mechanic, and like it's got everything you need if you want to be like in the middle of nowhere, the water, solar, fridge. So I think I don't think we'll struggle, but we're very flexible. We might sell it in probably the end of our travelling of Australia will probably end in Alice Springs. We've known people to be able to sell cars there, but alternatively we will probably put an advert out for Darwin and then maybe Adelaide, and just see basically where there is someone that wants to buy it, and we'll say that what date will arrive and see what we can do, just so then we've covered ourselves on all the bases and trying to sort of reduce the amount of stress, just because obviously we want to book flights onto our next destination, and
we don't want to leave it too late so they get more expensive and things like that. It's a tricky one, really.
Yeah, so we just want to balance it out, really. We really hope you've enjoyed today's video, and if you have, please make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one when we start the final leg of our journey from Perth to Alice Springs.